I know Amagi and 24i have been working recently with Virgin Media in the UK to roll out a suite of 14 fast channels on that operator's boxes. Can you talk a little bit about the work that's gone into that, what's required to make it a successful launch, and some of the thinking behind it? Perhaps, Harry, you want to start with that, and then we'll ask Stuart to supplement.
So yeah, we went live with 14 channels on Virgin Media. Between 24i and Amagi, we exclusively provided the complete technology stack needed by Virgin for launching these channels. Broadly, if you look at what Amagi offer, we provide technology aspects covering creation of linear services, fast services, distribution of services, monetization of services. And Virgin looked at integrating fast channels into their set-top box environments. They saw it as a means to, enhance value they present to customers, adding to, customer retention, potential additional revenue line, without distracting from the current service that they provide in terms of cable channels as a portfolio. So they wanted us to integrate the fast channels into the set-top box environment. And that's where a partner like 24i came in, beautifully providing a solution which allowed us to launch within a defined timeline and launch very successfully. Maybe I'll pass on to Craig or Stuart to talk about the offering that 24i or the solution that 24i put in place.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously there was a quite a fast turnaround to deliver, but we were able to implement a lightweight player that delivered a custom UI UX based on our application framework and data layer, which also utilized our backstage environment, which is our management system for the EPG data. And that allowed us to insert the Amagi fast channels directly into the Virgin Media EPG on a range of different set-top boxes. This is really already in the field. So crucially, that meant that there was no need to adjust the configuration of any of the devices to make the channels available. So from that perspective, it meant that the time to market was extremely quick. So obviously from that perspective, that's been really successful. Naturally, obviously there's going to be bound to be sort of considerations around the quality of the service. Startup time is really important, so we need to make sure that the system was optimized and that from the software point of view, we minimize the time between app start and video playback. So that's been a very sort of crucial area that we focused on. And on top of that, obviously the next step really is also providing the analytics over the top to understand what's happening on the player itself. But all in all, over a very short space of time, we've been able to deliver, that joined up solution, and it seems to be working extremely well.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's interesting, obviously, that just reflecting on what you said there, that the quality expectations around FAST are probably increasing, and people expect these channels to work very smoothly and to be of a very high quality and sit alongside sort of premium channels with the same kind of experience.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's the challenge of making sure that the solution itself has to be robust and appear to be seamless in the sense of you're integrating into an existing system. It can't appear to be different from a user perspective, and I think that's really important in terms of the value to the user itself.
Yeah. So looking at perhaps staying with that case study or others that you want to highlight, I mean, when you look at set-top box configuration, the things you were talking about there, startup times, robustness, are those the biggest challenges for the telecom and cable operators who want to get into this fast space, or are there also other challenges that they need to look at and they need to overcome? What would you say are the kind of list of things that the likes of Virgin Media or other telecom or cable companies need to think about and look at when it comes to taking the plunge into fast? Harry, perhaps you can start with that.
We launched 14 channels, right? And if you had to do that with a traditional pay TV distribution, you are looking at bandwidth considerations overall within your pay TV network. You're looking at encoding systems, muxing systems, and you're looking at a lot of fixed infrastructure investment upfront. Here, in fact, I think we did maybe a couple of months of planning, design, maybe 3 months of a little bit of prototypes, etc. And if I'm right, and Craig or Stuart can acknowledge, I believe we had a 2 month period where we went from, yes, we want to launch on this date, to which is when we really started the project, to us going live. I believe we were at 7 or 8 weeks was the kind of lead time that we had at best, right? So the speed with which we could roll out we did not need fixed infrastructure at all. It was a complete software-based stack end to end, so that, what does that mean? And you're putting it into a set of cable channels. You're adding it to a set of cable channels. What does that mean? Your end consumer user experience should be no different. If I'm an end consumer, I'm switching to a cable channel, and I get the video in a second or shorter, and I switch to the streaming channel, and it takes 3 seconds. I would switch. I personally would switch. I think most of us would have the propensity to say something's wrong, and I switch again, or then I know that area of channels I don't even go to, and I watch something else. So there were aspects around user experience to be factored in. Stuart spoke about some of the things they solved in terms of load times, but say key mapping itself, the set-top box remote has to behave exactly same on the streaming channels as it would on the cable channels as well. So there were some nuances around it to be solved, mapped, and the intricacies around that to be managed. So there are, again, integrating and merging two fundamentally different models of service brought its challenges, and we had to solve, and we had to discover together along with Virgin, and work as a partner to solve with them. So again, Virgin's looked at integrating. There could be other scenarios. Maybe we can talk about further as a separate topic in terms of directly going to consumers with just an app, and that has certain different use cases and nuances to discuss.
Yeah. Craig, do you want to just on the telecom and cable side? Do you want to add something from 24i's perspective on that?
Yeah, sure. So I think that one thing that is important to understand about adding fast channels to something is that it's not just a matter of add as many fast channels as you can and step to profit. It's really important to have good content and also good discovery. So I think that you can see it as, if you want to see it as a challenge through a technical lens, maybe good data is important to have. But I think just overall, it's important to have content that people want to watch. And sometimes in these kind of discussions, it tends to get lost. But I think it's still really, really important to know that, at the end of the day, you're trying to serve users with something that they're going to want to watch. And so I would say good discovery and good analytics, and see how content is performing and make sure that you make good programming decisions based on that.
Find out more at 24i.com.